Welcome to Leadership Unplugged with Nasir Sheikh. And today we've got with us Mr. Sukumar Sekhar, and a leader, who's got decades of experience and has been par excellence at whatever he does. And today we are going to talk about and try to break down the myth around why people leave organizations. So Sukumar, thank you so very much for being here today with us, and very grateful to you for your time. Why do you think people actually leave companies?
Before I get to that, Nazar, let me first thank you for inviting me to do this. It's an absolute pleasure, and that was a very humbling introduction, and a hyped one, I would say.
No.
I just try to do whatever best I can, and it kind of connects with the question why people leave organizations. There are definitely a few reasons, but as the age-old saying goes, I truly believe that the biggest reason is the managers. Right? People leave managers and not organizations. Yes, there could be monetary reasons. Yes, there could be career progression related reasons. There could be personal reasons. But clearly, the most important reason are managers, because I've also come across a lot of people who have overcome all those challenges, personal challenges and monetary challenges and stuff, but still stuck around because they love the managers, right? So I often quote an example. In my experience of about 25 years in the banking operations sector, I have probably come across hundreds and thousands of managers, people managers.
Correct.
And if I have to bucket all of them, I just make this up to give an example. If I have to bucket all of them, I say 50% of them are bad, pathetic managers.
Wow.
People
Wow.
just cannot work with them. They will ruin your career, so to say, right?
Ooh.
40% of them are good managers, and these are people who won't bother you, but they won't help you progress as well. About 9% of them are great managers, and these are people who will give you wings to fly. They will support you, they will guide you, they will empathize with you, and they are kind, supportive, approachable, all that good stuff. But there's just 1% who are leaders, and these are people who you can absolutely surrender yourself. You have blind faith in. You trust them so much that you'll just, if they ask you to jump off the window, you will
do that.
because you know there's going to be a soft landing waiting for
Correct.
you. Right? And I tell people that if you believe you are working with a leader because you really get drawn towards them, you admire them, respect them, don't leave them. When people come and tell me I'm leaving an organization, and I ask them, how's your relationship with the manager? Oh, he's fantastic, or she's a great leader. I say, listen, you're worrying me because by default you're making a bad decision. Now you give me good reasons to convince why, despite that, you want to leave. So that's my belief, and there are a lot of examples I've come across on those lines. And
from what I've understood from you, what I've heard about you, and when we have the conversations together, it's very evident. You are a people's person, right? You really care for your people when you are who you're working with, and even after work and beyond your tenure with an organization, you still kind of really care for your people. So what is it that makes you do that?
Couple of things I would say, Nazar. One is, by God's grace, I had a very humble beginning to my life, personal life and professional life, I would say. I mean, people would know, they would have heard me quite often quote that I've got no extraordinary qualification, no extraordinary talent, right? When I was pretty young and I was just taking baby steps in the industry, there were a few leaders who left an indelible mark. And small little things that they did as humans, right? As simple as calling me by my name,
right?
Coming over, patting me on my shoulder and say, I've heard about you, you're doing a good job. Or just, wishing me good morning, making eye contact, asking me, how are you doing? Have you had lunch? These really made me super motivated and energized. And of course, I was also blessed with a very humble beginning in my career. So I worked with a lot of bad managers.
Oh.
So when you work with bad managers, that's the best thing that can happen to you, because you can easily learn what not to do.
Correct.
So I was very lucky. So when I worked with bad managers, I told myself, okay, when I start to
this is not what I don't want to be.
People and I come to your level, I will not do all these things. And when I work with the people who inspired me, I'm like, okay, if I get to manage a large team like you, I want to do all of this, right? So that's basically what probably has made me truly care for people, because I want to give them what I've got in life. And I figured out my raison d'etre a few years back is touch as many lives, spread as many smiles, and help as many people as you can. I would say a lot of this, and almost all the credit goes to my mom. That's how she raised me. After I lost my dad just 10 days before my 10th birthday.
Wow.
And she kept saying, be humble, be nice, be approachable, help as many people.
No, I think, it's an amazing journey, right? Firstly, I know it's years since you've lost dad, but heartfelt condolence again on that, because that's a loss that you can never come to terms with. It's somehow, what our mothers kind of do for us, it's amazing, and they keep us grounded to where we need to go out there. And you rightly said, like, you want to kind of take care of other people or treat other people the way you want to get treated. And the moment every leader, every manager is able to imbibe that, it kind of changes the whole perspective. Just a few minutes back, we were joking on how we scored 100 on mathematics, and both of us said, I scored 100, and both ended up realizing that it was over 3 terms. So how, I know education is important, and I strongly believe education is the key. But how does one, as a person who's growing up, as a young leader, how does one kind of keep a balance between what they have done academically and then kind of grow up into being big leaders? We've seen it for ourselves. We're not great students, but through sheer hard work, determination, and other aspects of life, we build that. So what's your advice out there to people?
I'm so glad you touched on the topic. Another favorite topic of mine, because quite a lot of time people come to me and say, people who are doing really well in their career, I'm looking to promote them, and they'll come and say, I want to go for higher studies. This is the example, and this is the coaching that I give to people who come to me for should I study further and stuff. It's extremely important to realize the difference between education, qualification, and success, right? And growth in your career. Education is knowledge, right? That's how I see it. It's extremely important to get qualified, study further. I'm not greatly qualified, but I tell people, I'll never say don't go for higher studies. I'll never say leave your job, don't leave your job and study. It's important. But you've got to realize that by pursuing a course, you are going to gain knowledge. Now you've got knowledge. And what is qualification or a certification? Is a stamp that you possess the knowledge.
Correct.
We test you on that knowledge, you pass the exam, we give you a certificate that you possess that knowledge. That, at best, in my view, will get you a seat at the interview table.
Right.
That's not even going to get you a job, because in the interview, you've got to display and exhibit interpersonal skills, humility, right, great communication, teamwork, aspects of all of this, right, for you to get a job. Now, that doesn't guarantee success automatically, and that's why we know there are people who've come out of Ivy League schools who've not made it really big, because they're not great team players. They've got this mountainous ego. Because they have such great qualifications, they probably don't gel with everyone. So that's extremely important. So education is important, qualification is important, but that doesn't guarantee success. Success comes from a lot of other soft skills, and how you convert that knowledge into delivery.
Right? Correct.
You can say I've got all this qualification, but if you're not going to deliver on the job, it's not going to give you promotion, right? No one's ever got promoted just because you're from an Ivy League school or just because you're qualified.
And you rightly said that, right? It gives you the foundation to kind of build on, but you need to kind of add to yourself. And that's something that, I have the fortune of dealing with kids who are toddlers, in preschools, running up high schools and going all the way to postgrad. And my conversation with these MBA students, PGDM students, more often than not, is about, the amount of work that they need to put in beyond the books, how to leverage flipped classrooms, how to leverage life projects, how to kind of leverage conversations and the interactions that they have with the leaders. Because it's not only your marks that's going to kind of help you crack an interview and do great at job, but how you kind of build in a 360-degree approach. And you rightly said that, right? And I love the way you broke down education, qualifications, and success. And the moment people are able to add them together, the amplification in their careers will be phenomenal. One last question, actually two questions. One, an example of a bad manager that you've seen growing up, and then we will jump into, to end it on a high, we'll take one of a great leader.
Sure. When I hold these skip level meetings, right, just to kind of get a pulse on the floor, how things are, I quite often ask people, I mean, there's normally silence, right? The silence is because either one, I haven't earned the trust and built the rapport yet,
Right.
and they don't want to open up, or it's because they probably are scared to raise issues.
Correct.
So I often ask them 5 questions. I said, listen guys, please hand on heart answer these 5 questions, and I will decide whether the manager is bad or a great leader.
Right.
One is, does he or she, right, admonish you in public and appreciate him? You should do the opposite, right? Is there any element of bias, even if it's perceived? Is there an element of perceived bias or actual bias, right? Are they approachable, right? When you need time, when you ping them, when you call them, email them, are they always available, right? Do they protect you, right? When a client escalates or when something goes wrong, they throw you under the bus, or do they stand by you and protect you?
Right.
Do they genuinely care? Do they come around asking you, and do they lend their ears and a shoulder in hard times, understand, connect at a human level, give you that leeway, time, support, all of that, right? If they don't do all of these, it means they're probably not a good manager.
Correct.
You're going to leave them. It's a matter of time. Every aspect comes down to humility and human connect, right? I tell people, I often ask, what industry, what business are we in? And they'll say banking. And I said, no, we are in people
business.
Every industry, you're first in the people business, and then you're in manufacturing or trading or banking or whatever. Because we're dealing with human beings, not robots.
Right.
And everybody's got feelings, emotions, sensitivities. Every individual who joins an organization joins to succeed. Nobody joins to fail. Everyone on the first day tells themselves, I want to get to a CEO level or an MD level or at least a VP director level, right? And now, despite that, if they're not doing, then it's your job to figure out why they're failing, why they're not progressing, lend them the support, and sometimes it could be a round peg square hole scenario. They're just not in the right team or in the right job, right? Then you probably move them. And if it's an attitude issue, then you probably ship them out.
Right.
Because you got to do justice to your employer as well.
Correct.
You're in a profit-making organization. You're not running an NGO.
True that.
Right? Great leaders, the exact opposite, right? People, like I said earlier, right? You just want to be around them because they make you feel so important. They make you feel so valuable, right? Even in a conversation, I've met people. You may not know anything about the topic being discussed. You're not adding anything, but they will look at every person.
Correct.
Make eye contact, as though you're like adding value just by being there.
Being there.
Very, very simple gestures, right? And you feel good. And sometimes people come and say, I don't know, I can't put my finger on one thing, but I just love being with this person. I just love being in his team or her team. I feel so motivated. I want to give my best, right? And these are people who go that extra mile to understand not just about you, about your family. Right? What's happening? I mean, I heard your mom's unwell. Is she getting better? Simple things, right?
And it kind of makes them feel cared for.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that brings out the best in you, right? Because you will give your best only when you feel respected, valued, important. Right?
Correct.
Otherwise, your soul is struggling, right? You're not connecting, right? You might put in extra hours, but it's not going to convert into quality output.
Correct.
Right?
So well said. And that's so important because a lot of times you're talking that the person is physically there but not present, and I guess it all boils down to the people you're working with, what's happening. And there could be sometimes that there's something happening back home that's distracting them, but more often than not it's the culture that actually sits in the organization. But Suku, thank you so much. It's been fabulous speaking to you, and I look forward to catching up with you again. Thank you so much.
It's been a pleasure. We can talk about this for hours and days, but this was really, really engaging. I thoroughly enjoyed it, and good luck. You're doing a phenomenal job.
Thank you.
I was really, really happy to hear about how you have brought in financial literacy at a very, very early stage in schools, which is the need of the hour in my view, social skills and financial skills. I mean, when you and I were going to school, it was just rote learning and stuff, right? So it's really good to see, and I'm sure you'll make deep inroads in all of that, and good luck.
Thank you so much.